guys, so we're going to go over this super quick. These are going to kind of be the point of view for the different governments. So this is all from, Wednesday's PowerPoint. Look at the video if you need help kind of putting things in here together. Here we have a eugenic certificate. If you watched the last video, you know that this means that the government is going to give this to people who the government thinks should have kids. Okay, so if we were in Nazi Germany, I have brown hair and brown eyes. So they might decide that I should not have any kids because I am not the ideal human race that they want. So I would not be able to get the certification. The certification is extremely important because I cannot get married without the certification. And of course, in the 1940s, you are not having any babies unless you're married, right? That's what they did back then. If you did get pregnant, then they would and they would go send the baby off to live with someone else. And the mom who was pregnant would just go visit an aunt for 9 months magically and then come back without a baby. So very different times, very different from what we have today. Eugenics is talking about your genes, about your DNA and what they wanted to pass on. So if you didn't have the ideal genes, then you were denied the certificate, which means that you were not able to get married, which means that, you really weren't able to have kids. There's actually a really sad story of here in the United States, actually in 1927, I want to say, there was this girl who was 19, 20 years old, and she was mentally disabled, and so they called her certain names. But there was a court case that said that because of her being disabled, that she did not have a eugenics certificate, and therefore she was not allowed to have a baby. She was very functional. She was able to take care of kids. She was able to be a babysitter, but she was not allowed herself to have any children. And so I think she was 6 months pregnant when they force her to have an abortion. This is completely sad and awful and okay. So anyways, let's move on. Usually you see eugenic certifications in totalitarianism governments where they are going to be controlling your political life and your personal life. They're going to be pretty extreme and kind of looking at that. Let's go to the next one. Places that vote. We know that this is going to be a democracy. Here in the U.S., we are able to vote, and it doesn't matter who you are. Guys, you could even see how there's those shields so that you can't be looking at someone else's. This last election, me and my husband, the lady forced us to separate because he needed to vote the way he wanted, and I needed to vote the way I wanted, and so they wouldn't even let us be close together. We had to have a lot of room, even though he was my husband. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Hopefully we could kind of see this again as democracy. We kind of talked in the last video about how we have representatives, and every 2 years we vote for new ones. And if the representative that we have now isn't voting the way I want them to vote, then in 2 years, I'm going to vote for somebody else and he's going to get kicked out. So lots of power for the people kind of there. Here, this is a quote. King Louis is actually a king, and he says, "It is legal because I wish it." So this could actually fall under 3 different types of government. Okay, he is a king, so we know that that's monarchy. Because he has so much political power, because I wish it, he could be a dictator, but he could also be a totalitarianism. And, because if he has complete control, then it would kind of fall under all 3 of those. So the idea that he is able to just think of a thought and make it into a law really kind of pushes it hugely. Here we have Stalin. Stalin is a dictator from Russia, and he says death is the solution to all problems. No man, no problem. It's crazy that people actually believe this. He also made a quote that we saw at semester around the election, because one of his quote kind of says how the election is not a problem. The election doesn't count. What really counts are the people counting the ballots. Or he said something to that effect. And he did have an election, even though he's a dictator. And he had 6 million people who were dead magically cast a vote for him. So of all of his votes that he got, 6 million were from dead people. How is that even possible? I mean, So he's kind of dictator, complete control. Types, your perspective. Then we have these different situations. For these situations, you are going to look at what's happening, and then you're going to choose one of these. In most cases, democracy is usually going to choose to vote. Look at our war on terrorism, our war in Iraq, where, one of the promises that Obama made was that he was going to get us out from that war. I want to say it was LBJ who promised to try and get us out from Vietnam. He wasn't successful, but he tried. So the next one, we have famine. How are they going to work? We just saw that quote from Stalin, who said, hey, there's no people, therefore there's no, problem. Or so I guess maybe if we kill the people, there's no famine. So he would definitely be choosing probably shoot the most. And, in our democratic society, that's not allowed. Like, we would not be okay with that. Homegrown terrorists, are we going to negotiate with them, or are we going to vote? Other people might just decide to shoot. So depending on the type of government, it's going to really make a big difference. On this one, you just need to be looking at what are their typical responses. For democracies, we are always probably going to either do vote. Maybe if we're really serious about something, maybe we'll negotiate. But for the most part, we have those dictators, the other ones who might decide that, they're just going to shoot and just get rid of the problem kind of thing. And there you go. If you have any questions, make sure you are signing into Zoom. Bye, guys.